Hello superstars and welcome to another video. This one is on Go Math chapter 11.2 or triangles. Right, Jared?
Yes.
Okay, we discussed two ways to classify triangles, one by sides and the other by the angles that are formed on the inside of the triangles. So the first one we'll talk about right now is sides. So of course a triangle needs to have three sides and it needs to be a closed figure, but the lengths of those sides compared to each other will tell us one way to classify a triangle. So if none of the sides are the same, kind of like the one I just drew here, this side is not like this side and neither one are like this side. That is a scalene triangle. In a scalene triangle, no sides are the same. Each side is different. The next kind is an isosceles triangle. In an isosceles triangle, two sides, and two sides only, two sides are equal. Another word for this is congruent. While there's a few different ways to draw an isosceles, there are two really common ways. One is the tall, skinny version, and in the tall, skinny version, this side is congruent to this side. The other one is kind of a squatty looking triangle that has a big obtuse angle on top. Kind of looks a bit like a Egyptian pyramid. And again, this side would be congruent to this side. And our last triangle to be classified by sides is the equilateral. Now, we talked about this in class. Lateral means side, just like a lateral pass in football is a pass to the side, and equa sure sounds a lot like equal. This means all sides are equal. An equilateral triangle, this won't be perfect, but an equilateral triangle looks a bit like this. All three sides are exactly the same. We also talked a bit about angles today in class. We talked about acute, obtuse, and right angles as part of our dance routine, if you remember that. Acute angles, we remember that it is a cute little angle. These are smaller than 90. So acute angles smaller than 90. Obtuse angles are always greater than 90, and right angles are always equal to 90. That is our perfect corner. Here is an acute triangle. It does not have to have all angles exactly the same, but they do need to be less than 90. So each of these angles is an angle smaller than 90. So if all angles are smaller than 90, it can be classified as an acute triangle. In a right triangle, there needs to be one right angle. Usually that's indicated by this square shape, letting you know that it's a perfect 90-degree angle. We also learned in class today that you can't have more than one of these. So a right triangle needs to have that right angle. In an obtuse triangle, there needs to be one angle greater than 90 degrees. And that's this angle here that has the arrow drawn. You can't ever have more than one angle greater than 90 degrees. You might notice that as this angle gets larger, the two other angles, these right here and here, have gotten very small. They have to. If this one angle is getting larger, the other two angles are going to get smaller. Once you understand that, you can actually combine these to describe a triangle. We could say a triangle, we could talk about a triangle by both talking about its sides and its angles. For example, I could draw an isosceles triangle that was acute. These two sides are the same, and all angles are under 90 degrees. I could also draw an isosceles triangle that was obtuse. It has an obtuse angle right here and two sides that are the same. Let's see, I could draw a scalene triangle that was obtuse. Or by changing this slightly, I could draw a scalene triangle that was right. So, a number of different ways we can classify triangles. So, I hope that this helped. You can watch the video a few times, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.